more Saturday night soccer from Highmark Stadium here in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. We're on the banks of the Monongahela River for this USL showdown between Pittsburgh Riverhounds Soccer Club and Charlotte Independence. I'm Matt Geica alongside Paul Child and Gene Klein. It's been a festive summer here in Pittsburgh with regards to the Hounds. 7-2-3 at home, looking to make it 8 home wins and set a new franchise record. They welcome in, though, Paul, the Charlotte Independence, a team that started well but has slumped lately, and it hasn't just been a slump. It's been a case of giving away late goals and giving away leads.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's really that's scary sometimes, Matt, because these teams they're kind of on the bubble. Sometimes Charlotte are hot, and then sometimes they're not. You just never know what you're going to see in the game. So we're looking forward to hopefully the Hounds getting up to a quick start.
Well, there you see there just the one win in their past 6, despite having the advantage in 5 of those matches. So yeah, Charlotte has had some good things going, Gene Klein, but they haven't been able to finish. That's been the problem.
Yeah, that's been an issue for them, and it hurts them because, again, as Paul said, they have the ability, they have some key players, they have some players that have been around the league, and they're a dangerous team. So I know Bob Lilly and his coaching staff have made the Riverhounds very aware of that, and they're going into this game with all guns blazing because they know Charlotte's going to be dangerous.
And there you see 2 different teams, home and away. As for the Riverhounds, they gained their 3rd consecutive victory last time out. Nico Brett stayed hot in a 2-1 win at Bethlehem Steel. Brett had 2 there. He has 5 in his past 3 matches. And Paul, he is right there for the league leaders in goals. He's been spectacular.
No, he really has, and it's great to see him really come alive here because we know he's got the talent, and you can see right there that was an unexpected shot, and you're going to see another one coming up right here from a great pass. One time bump in the back of the net, and he does a great job.
And 2 of those goals recently have been late to deliver victories. And Gene, there you see it. The Hounds 8-0 when he scores, and 6 of those have been game winners on the season. Not to say it's a one-man band up top, but it's been pretty close lately.
Yeah, that's a really incredible statistic, Matt, that we're 8-0 when he scores, but he has certainly been there from the beginning. He had a couple low spots maybe in the season, but he's turned it on now at the right time when we really need him to score goals, and certainly he's the go-to guy for the Riverhounds.
Before this hot stretch, as you talk about, Gene, he had 6 in a row without a goal. So hot, cold, then hot again, and for the Hounds as a team, they've been clicking along. They'll try to defend home field here tonight against a Charlotte team that's coming in for the first and only time this season. More on the way, opening kickoff on ESPN+.
Now, where does it hurt the most when you have it all the way straight?
Down
in
here.
there.
It started really hurting, and it would really hurt if I stood on it.
It's a little patellar tendonitis, or jumper's knee is the other thing.
How's that feel?
It feels better.
Call 412 Doctors for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
Forbes has an open man. Jamaican to Jamaican. And Brett buries it. Nico Brett, beautiful.
Catch the action at Highmark Stadium as the Riverhounds battle for a home playoff position. On September 7th, the Bethlehem Steel FC roll into town for a special Friday matchup. Gates open at 5:30 p.m., $1 beers until kickoff. Purchase your tickets at riverhounds.com or call 412-865-GOAL.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
The Riverhounds Technical Training Academy is back this winter at the AHN Sports Complex at Cool Springs. The 15-session program runs from December to March and is loaded with skills development taught by professional players from around the world. Registration opens in August. Sessions begin December 1st. Find out more by emailing wintertraining@riverhounds.com or by calling 412-325-7238.
firmly in the run-up to Pittsburgh and Charlotte for the first of 2 matchups this season. One here in Pittsburgh, one there. There you see some first responders from the area delivering the game ball. It is First Responders Night at Highmark Stadium. A salute to all those who help keep us safe in that way. I'm Matt Geico along with Paul Child and Gene Klein. Here's your starting 11 for the Charlotte Independence tonight on ESPN+. Andrew Dykstra, as usual, gets the start in goal. Vines, Kalungi, Johnson, and Duckett, the captain, across the back line. For head coach Mike Jeffries, Owundi, the new loanee from Minnesota United of MLS, is in the midfield alongside Charlotte stalwart Alex Martinez, Jan Ekra, longtime USLer, and Greg Jordan. Jorge Herrera, 37-year-old Colombian striker. He keeps on ticking. He's right up there at the top with Caleb Calvert. As for the Hounds, gentlemen, they're going to go with a 4-5-1. And, well, Gene, you were saying you're curious to see how Bob Lilley sets things up in the midfield. With a lot of guys, Zemansky, Dabo, Vankia, Zil, Forbes, more like holding midfielders by trade.
Yeah, but they're all very versatile too, Matt. And I think that's what you can see in this lineup, because Vankia, Zil, and Zemansky can both press up high, or they can both drop deep. Same with Bernardo Forbes. He's very comfortable in the middle, but he's also very comfortable pushing forward high into the attack. And Cristiano Francois loves it out there in the flank, but he can do the business anywhere in the field.
Absolutely, and Francois had the key assist, the breakaway, and then the pass to Brett for the game winner against Bethlehem last Sunday. As the Hounds are working on a 3-game win streak, tying a season high. If they win tonight, it'll be their first 4-game streak since 2013. And not to bury the lead, but number 22 will be between the sticks. Mike Kirk instead of 33, Dan Lind. For Pittsburgh, Dan Lind suffering a facial injury, coming way out of his net at Bethlehem late last week. Kirk finished things up with the final 16 minutes of the game, and that was also his USL debut. So, Paul, instead of Dan Lind, it's Mike Kirk. Kirk, 24 years old, just like Dan Lind, but a lot less experience to be his first league start in the USL.
I'm sure he's got the butterflies going tonight and a little bit nervous, but you know, he's been around a while too, and he's going to come through fine. I think he'll get some help from the defensive players, talking and getting him into the game right away. After the first 5 minutes, I'm sure he'll be ready to go and take whatever Charlotte's got to offer.
Yeah, and Paul Bob always said he's really in good form in training, and they're really pleased with him. They have a lot of confidence in him. The team has a lot of confidence in him. So obviously a big loss for Dan Lind, as brilliant as he's been all season, but I don't expect a big drop-off for the Riverhounds.
Yeah, we're hearing at least a couple of weeks for Dan Lind that he'll be out. Also, Kevin Kerr, Mr. Riverhound, if you want to call him that, as we have a false start on the kickoff. That's a first for this season. But Kevin Kerr, getting back to that, has a calf injury, and it sounds fairly severe, so it's not like one that he'll be able to recover from for Wednesday's match here against Tampa Bay. We're looking a couple of weeks down the line for him, too. So 2 key missing parts for Pittsburgh. Also the case for Charlotte, though, as we're underway, and Mike Kirk gets a touch here, maybe to kill some of those nerves. Drives it down field with that favored left foot. Rising up, Bertrand Owundi, the new loan player from Charlotte. Charlotte has an affiliation with the Colorado Rapids of MLS, but Owundi comes from Minnesota United. A foul called here, and I believe it against Charlotte. Yes, as Alex Martinez just let it drift by. But we have Kevon George, who is sitting out with an ankle injury. He's typically in the midfield for the Independents. And also Cordell Cato, 8 goals. He's on the pine. Yeah,
that's really tough for Charlotte when they're struggling like the way they have been, and especially on the road, Matt. So they need everyone in the lineup, but I'm sure Coach Mike Jeffries is, as we see, a terrific
Dover
ball
trying
here.
to drive it in.
Dover.
Yes, Brett. He wanted a call.
Boy,
None forthcoming from the referee, Elvis Osmanovic.
Yeah, I thought he got yanked down there for sure, but referee didn't see it that way, Matt. So Hans trying to knock the ball around really quickly here and start setting the tempo right from the beginning.
Yeah,
I think,
and it's hard to say with some of these young guys, Paul, that Mike Jeffries has playing for Kevon George and the players that are out, I mean, this is a great opportunity for them, and I'm sure that's what he's told them.
Yeah.
Let's go out here and play and show you're prepared and you're ready and ready to go. And they're coming out with very, very tight lines right now. You can see, and really swarming the ball right away. It made it very difficult for us to play through.
Joe Greenspan of the Naval Academy looks upfield. I misspoke, actually. Kevon George is out due to yellow card accumulation. Plenty of yellow cards on this Charlotte team. We'll get to that in a bit compared to the Hounds, who have had relatively few on the year. Another clear there by Greenspan, who gives Joel Johnson a tap to ask him if he's okay. It's Cordell Cato, who is out with the ankle injury. Cato, the 26-year-old from Trinidad and Tobago, 8 goals, 3 assists.
Yeah, that's a big loss for them. I mean, certainly they're going to need some goals. The Riverhounds are very tough to break down. Of course, one of the leading defensive teams in the league. So Charlotte would love to have everybody there in their full lineup. But again, I mean, it's what I think one of the things I'm sure the Riverhounds are wary about is with some new faces.
Oh, that's a great ball.
Look at that
there,
ball
but
from Forbes into Brett.
Oh,
He's denied.
dear.
A great stop by Dykstra with the right foot. First real chance for either side now. Francois grounds one into the 6, and there's Dykstra again. Much easier second save than first.
Brilliant ball in.
was a great ball, and Nico Brett, I was shocked that he didn't put that away with the way he's been putting them away this season, right, especially in the last couple of games, and I'm sure he'd love that one back. It would have been good to see him score.
And Andrew Dykstra, veteran goalkeeper, shows his quality there. Plenty of experience in MLS, Richmond Kickers, DC United, I believe, Colorado. I mean, he's been around, and he came out big, stayed big, didn't make a move, and difficult for Nico to beat him. So very good opening save. The Riverhounds could have been up and running very, very early.
Brett, as we talked about, 5 goals in 3 matches. That followed a 6-game goal drought. So hot, cold, then hot for the Jamaican native, 26-year-old out of Robert Morris University on the outskirts here in Pittsburgh.
What a ball.
Dazzled by the ball from Forbes, though.
Yeah, terrific ball from Bernardo Forbes. I mean, just right behind the 2 center backs, got behind Kalungi a little bit and was able to get in on that. And that's where Nico's dangerous. I mean, because he'll play up high, he can take that step.
I was surprised there he didn't just slot that one in, but I think he was put under pressure there by the defender pretty good, and had to take that quick shot.
A lot of times that's all that makes the difference. That tiny bit of marking. That could have been the pass of the year by Forbes, even though it was not converted. And Forbes, who has 3 assists in his past 3 matches as the Hounds have gotten hot. Once again, that's familiar form for the 30-year-old former Rochester Rhino under Bob Lilly when Lilly was coaching up in Western New York. Zemansky draws the call. Ben Zemansky with a rare start. Native of Akron and MLS veteran. He's wearing number 13 in the midfield for Pittsburgh in the black and gold. Charlotte in the blue and white.
He's playing up high as well underneath Nico Brett. It looks like, you know, that we were wondering what's going on there. And usually we've been scoring some great goals from the flanks, you know, getting down the line and driving these balls across, and Brett and Francois and different people getting on the end of them. So it's kind of strange to see Nico Brett just up there on his own.
Yeah, and it's you don't see Ben Zemansky up that high either. He likes to normally sit a little bit deeper. There's another long ball in for Nico Brett.
Is Nico onside? We'll never find out because the flag doesn't have the chance to come up with Dykstra intercepting.
Yeah, Dykstra in a good starting position.
Vrizniak are your assistant officials. Assistant referee Sam Reynolds is the man at the table right in front of us. We're here at Highmark Stadium, where the Riverhounds are trying to improve on a 7-2-3 home record. A win here would establish a new team mark in a single season. And yes, this is the longest season the Hounds have ever played. It'll be 34 matches by the time we get to the middle of October. But to reach that record at this point, yeah, it matches up. It's fair to compare previous seasons to this one. Francois couldn't get there in time. And here's a good step from Thomas Vankiazil, the French rookie.
Yes.
Sprays it out here to Forbes, who can't cut it right through the middle of the pack there. Was intercepted by Jan Ekra, who we know very well from his time with the Harrisburg City Islanders. 99 appearances for Harrisburg before this season.
Forbes there rushing his pass a little bit and missing the opportunity. I think Francois was taking a diagonal run, so he could have just knocked it into space, and we know Francois would have caught it before anybody else with his speed.
There might not be anyone faster in the USL than Cristiano Francois. First-year Riverhound. He had 6 assists last year for the Rhinos. I don't want to call him a breakout player necessarily, but we've been impressed and I think pleasantly surprised by his playmaking and his ability to generate.
Yeah, he's been very dynamic the entire season, and really loves to run at defenders and forces them to make decisions that they don't really want to make at certain points of the field, and that then I think opens a lot of stuff up for Kennard Forbes, sliding balls through in the midfield, and of course Nico Brett getting in behind the backs.
There's a chip ball from Brett to Zemanski on the overlap, but Ben a step slow. Now Jordan Dover stepping to, and Mohamed Dabo fakes one way, fakes the other, now goes back to the left. Very quick Mo Dabo. Wide ball, Rayleigh's up there, leads the team in crosses, gets another one in, but it's not quite as firm as he would have hoped, and it's taken away by Dykstra.
Yeah, got a deflection there, which really took the power out of the ball, and got a spin towards the keeper, so didn't get the kind of ball across that he really wanted to. But Hounds putting some pressure on here and trying to win this ball straight away back, and Lee getting up there but knocking it out of bounds.
Yeah, I think one of the interesting things we're going to see from Charlotte too is they have a new guy from Minnesota United on loan, Bertrand Owundi, and he's paired up there with the veteran Henry Kalungi. Owundi definitely a left-sided center back. So we'll see how those two are able to work it. Of course, they were exposed a little bit when Kennard Forbes threaded, almost had his 8th assist of the year in the opening couple minutes, but I'm sure they'll settle in and sort it out here pretty soon.
It's quite the international assembly of talent for Charlotte coach Mike Jeffries. 13 non-domestic players. As Francois, speaking of non-domestic, man from Haiti draws the call, and it was a yank on the back of his jersey by Greg Jordan. Jordan is issued a card, and now, well, that's a good time to bring up the sheer number of cards that Charlotte has accrued on the season. We have George with 6, Joel Johnson with 6. It's another for Greg Jordan. We have one player with 5, one with 4. 5 red cards on the year for Charlotte. The Riverhounds don't have a single one here in match number 23. And you see why, bordering on unsportsmanlike from Jordan, just taking a ride on Francois' back. 9th minute card for Jordan.
Yeah, and you know, that's has to be discouraging for Charlotte and their coaching staff. I mean, that early to get a card in the game, and Matt, you're pointing out this history they have all season. It shows maybe a little bit of a lack of discipline that I'm sure
frustration too, as well.
Frustration that they're not happy with, and they certainly have to clean up, as exposed to the Riverhounds who stayed very, very disciplined throughout the season.
Well, Zemanski standing over the ball. The wall is set up right near the 18 as the Hounds attack toward the Steel Army side of the pitch to our right. Scoreless 11th minute. Zemanski's there. He has a couple of men over to his right.
And he could be looking for Greenspan. There he is.
He's going to chip it in, looking for the big man, Greenspan. Good call, Gene, but it's headed out for a corner.
Yeah, Bill Duckett got on that one, and they were certainly looking for Greenspan.
Yeah.
Wasn't quite expecting Zemanski to have a go there. So.
No, I thought it was a strange thing for him to take a shot, you know, but I think you read it there with Greenspan being at the far post. With that height, you know, he can get up there and be really dangerous.
Duckett got up well to get that one, and Zemanski taking the corner kick for the Riverhounds.
Duckett, one of the longer tenured Charlotte players, even played for the Charlotte Eagles in 2014 before that franchise dissolved and the Independents were born the following season. Zemanski's corner kick, well too far. Picked up some steam, it appeared, had some backspin and just sailed on him. Over Thomas Vankia's Eels head, he was the closest Hound to it. Rayleigh covering up, volleys that out of the air. Following suit is Owundi. He's playing a bit deeper than his midfield position might indicate. Jorge Herrera, his first real touch of the ball is a poor one. He gives it away to Rayleigh.
Yeah, Ray Lee there, and a little bit rushed. He didn't need to really hit that. There was nobody over it out wide, so I don't know why he just took that. It seemed like he had plenty of time to bring that down and do something better with it.
Herrera, number 10, has 10 goals for Charlotte. He's second all-time in the USL. Behind only Dane Kelly in USL goals. Here's a fine step from Jordan, the man who just got the card, but Vonkiazio wins that ball. And the Hounds on the counter. Lee steps over the midfield strike. Ray Lee striding, hooks up with Zemansky, has some trouble pulling it out of his feet, but he does find it. Now Francois slowing it down. Charlotte regroups, gets men behind the ball, and Pittsburgh now looking for ideas.
Pittsburgh not trying to force the ball in there at all when it's not on. You've got a lot of white shirts back there, so really starting over again, coming back out and trying to recreate. That's
been Bob Lilley's mantra, is create possession when we don't have the chance. That's what he's been telling his players for the last 3 or 4 weeks. That ball's in the river, or at least down on the bank by the train tracks. Booted out by Kalunji, 30-year-old Ugandan.
And Henrik Kalunji, another veteran guy, ex-Richmond kicker. Been in the league a while. Ugandan international. So as you had mentioned, Matt, a lot of internationals on this crew. I mean, Jorge Herrera, been in the league, a terrific player for so many years. We've seen him over the years, and he's still doing it at a high level. That's terrific to see.
2007 was his debut with the Charlotte Eagles. He has not stepped outside of Charlotte in his USL career. Francois again downshifting. Not a lot of room for him to run there. Lee joins up, but his pass was blocked off by Greg Jordan. One of the things, Charlotte fortifying for a bit.
Yeah, one of the things seeing, we had talked about it earlier, men, was the organization in the midfield. But I think one of the things that we can see right away is there's a lot of mobility and a lot of movement for these guys. And Zemansky will push forward, Vonkiazio will push forward, Canardo Forbes is tucked in inside to support Nico Brett. So it's not like they're in some stationary positions. A lot of mobility, movement, and that's going to get. I'm sure Mike Jeffrey's trying to figure that out right now as he peers out over the dugout, but that's going to force
dangerous corner kick
decisions.
A second corner for the Riverhounds. It's right in for Greenspan, who can't direct it on target. He was there. A tremendous corner kick from Francois, who pulls it back and then plays it off the body of Owundi, who puts his hands behind his back in an innocent pose.
After he hit it with his arm. Yeah,
maybe.
A little bit late, but...
the Steel Army thought so.
Francois thought so. Tough to see from where we are.
As I was chatting to you, Matt, earlier, this is where Charlotte, I think, are vulnerable, especially with the big guy at the back here.
Francois in, looking for Roberts that time. Hugh Roberts, a frequent target, but just a little bit over his head.
There was a Wundy there, was well up to get that one. As
Roberts
you see,
stays
Roberts
up,
knocks it down.
wins the ball.
Oh,
Francois cutting, letting one go. Dykstra, the one-hop save.
Goalkeeper doing well there, keeping hold of that ball, Gino, because that was driven in really hard and skipping off the
really hard.
Yeah.
And Paul, we saw Francois' ability to run at players again, you know.
But Paul, you were talking about the match you watched between Charlotte and Cincinnati, where Cincinnati got both of its goals off of set pieces.
Set pieces and corners, yeah, and Cincinnati, a big guy like Greenspan was coming up and got 2 headers on it and did the damage.
Joe Greenspan probably should have a goal this year with how many times he has been targeted well by Hounds crossers, but he just hasn't had that finishing touch yet.
And he seems to get ahead above everybody else as well.
He starts ahead above everybody else, yeah.
Well, and you have to target him because he is very dynamic in the air, and he draws a lot of attention of the opponent. So even if he can't get it down on goal like we saw there, maybe try to head it back across
some
for a
problems,
second attacker. Yeah,
that's what he was going for on this most recent opportunity. The Riverhounds have 3 corner kicks, none yet for Charlotte. Coached by Mike Jeffries. We just saw him there in the dugout, 4th year. He's been the only coach in the short history of the Independents. 56 years old. He was the 2nd ever manager of, well, now they're FC Dallas. They used to be the Dallas Burn of MLS. Back in 2001, he got that assignment. Did Jeffries. Dover The fine touch. Zemansky, not sure what that was supposed to be. Left footer into the corner, sails out for a goal kick.
I don't know what he was thinking there. He had a vision of some kind, and because I was looking for a player in the corner because we can't see from the booth, and I thought, oh,
I don't know, maybe there was somebody in the corner there with a black and yellow jersey.
Bright yellow bumblebee jersey.
Could very well have been.
And we saw Ben put his hand up right away, so I think he was like, I don't know what I was trying on that one either. But
it happens.
Yes, it does.
It's a quick moving sport. Occasionally miscalculate. Greenspan over, again patrolling that back line. The Hounds have alternated between 4- and 5-man back lines lately. This time it's 4, although you'll see Vanke Aziel playing almost essentially as a 5th defender, especially when either Dover or Lee get up on the wings.
And Dover and Lee like to get up and really push it up high, and increases the danger factor for the Riverhounds.
One ball by Francois, high stepping his way.
Francois got yanked again there by the same player that pulled him back.
Who already has a card.
I know, and he already has a card. He was lucky he got away with it. He's talking to him now, the referee, and saying, it was close there. You were going to get another one.
Or no, was that Johnson again, or was that?
It was Greg Jordan who got the first card.
Jordan. It was Greg Jordan. It was number 6,
And he's actually one of the very few members of the Independents who didn't have a card coming in to this match, so he joins the fray there. Overlapping run from Francois, trying to break down Duckett 1v1.
But look, there's Francois and Canardo Forbes, and Canardo Forbes making that run in.
Kalungi couldn't clear it. Dover started right into the chest of Owundi, who belts it out.
I would like to see Dover have a go there.
Me too. I was a little bit shocked. He didn't just wait for that to drop and then take a volley. I mean, it was a... Even you would have put that in, Gino.
Well, that's
okay.
that's stretching it a
maybe
bit.
not. So
Herrera tumbles, but that's not going to buy a whistle here from Elvis Osmanovic, although it will eventually lead to a stoppage in play. Jorge Herrera is apparently injured, and Tara Serafino, the athletic trainer, is being called out.
Yeah, that was a strange situation there, because he did have time. There was nobody really putting him under pressure.
And it did come down.
It bounced perfectly.
I mean, I know it was a little bit crowded, but he tried to play to Ben Zemansky, who was marked up and really had no room to do anything with it either.
Definitely.
As Herrera writhes in pain, it didn't look like much, but he's in some difficulty at the moment.
Some difficulty, and here it comes knocked down. It's
here
right
it is.
There.
There's nobody
really down. Take
whoa.
He waited. He appeared to be dead set on setting up Zemansky.
Yeah. Try to loft it over Owundi's head there, I think, and we see Jorge Herrera still down and getting checked out. And looks like he's in considerable pain, but now he's up a little bit, and looks to be some kind of ankle injury.
It appeared his ankle was clipped, and he was reaching for his shin for a while too. Charlotte Independence going through some upheaval in the midst of this 0-3-1 slump that they carry into Pittsburgh. Their longtime assistant coach, Troy Lesane, left to pursue a head coaching opportunity with USL New Mexico. So the New Mexico franchise will be led by Troy Lesane, but he departs this past week. Now here's Jorge Herrera on the replay, getting tangled with Mo Dabo.
He twisted, went way over on it on his right ankle.
It looked like he was trying to cut it back there, Paul, you think, and he just twisted that ankle.
Well, he's quite gimpy, stepping off the pitch.
Yeah, he really twisted that. You could see it on the replay. Went really over on the outside of his right ankle. So,
and that will be another huge loss for the Independents if Herrera cannot continue.
And again, he is one of the older players, which those kind of things don't go away too quick.
You don't bounce back from those.
That might never go away.
Herrera leading the Independents in goals, obviously. We talked about it. He has 10. Also, shots on goal, 24. Shots in general, 35. He's still the engine of that attack for the Independents. Canardo Forbes, speaking of 30-something, he's not quite as experienced as Herrera, but Forbes has seen some things in this league, including a USL championship in 2015 with Rochester.
Really like... bad giveaway by Francois.
Francois, rare mistake early on in this one. Charlotte has not been able to create much, though. They've barely been over the midfield line with possession. Here's a play down the flank for Joel Johnson to haul in against Ray Lee. tried to turn it toward goal, but could not. It was deflected for a corner, though. So productive play.
And Herrera is returning for the Independents, so that's good news for Charlotte.
Yeah, Kirk's only had 3 kicks of the ball, I think, and they've been all on the ground. This is the first time he's really going to have a play situation going on from a corner kick. So,
and Herrera will take this corner kick. As for Mike Kirk, native of Mechanicsburg, 3-year starter at LaSalle University over on the other side of the state of Pennsylvania. Last year spent with Rio Grande Valley, but didn't play a single league match. And he appeared in a U.S. Open Cup match against Erie for the Riverhounds earlier this season. Herrera, kind of a low one, but Kirk has it, and it sticks to his palms.
Great job there by Kirk.
Yeah, well done by Kirk.
Boy, he got hammered and still kept hold of it.
Yeah, held on it well. It's good.
That Velcro really works well on those gloves.
And we know how tough that is to hold on to the ball in that heavy traffic.
Well driven ball by Herrera, and it's in there.
After you get hit as well.
He's banged by Roberts.
His own man.
His own guy.
Yes.
So.
No, great job.
An early test for Mike Kirk. We can call 23rd minute early. He hasn't seen much, but he comes through there, intercepting the cross. Forbes, did he or did he not? He did not win the corner kick. As it skidded out over the line, according to the assistant referee. Sam Vines, the 19-year-old, was defending there. Sam Vines, one of 4 lone players from Colorado Rapids. Tonight, Pittsburgh enters action 5 points out of first place in the Eastern Conference. They have a match in hand on Cincinnati, and they have 2 more confrontations with FC Cincy, in fact. So a chance still. That #1 spot is within reach. This 3-game win streak has put the Hounds back into contention for that, and it's pulled them even with Charleston Battery as well, who have been hot. Yes, and elsewhere, we'll get to the out-of-town scoreboard, but Cincinnati hosting Charleston.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting result.
So that can put the Hounds closer, or at least, at the very least, separate them from Charleston if the results go the way that they want here in Pittsburgh.
I don't know if you root for a tie in that situation if you are Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
That'll bring you within 3 with a win here tonight against Charlotte. But the Independents with other ideas. Jordan couldn't slide that pass through for Joel Johnson. And Mike Kirk just has to save it before it skids out over the end line.
He gave a corner
Actually,
kick,
he did not save it.
Boy,
Pardon me. It rolled a few inches over the white paint. So Jorge Herrera has the second corner kick upcoming for the Independents from the Monongahela River side of the field. Herrera, another right footer, this time deeper than the previous one. Zemansky couldn't get control, and it's put right on Kirk, and he makes a save. A stop on Caleb Calvert, the forward, 21 years old.
And one of their players down there, I don't know.
It is Calvert who took the shot. I want to say on the follow-through he got clipped or
that was a dangerous situation right there for
it really was.
Hounds. The ball bubbling around right on the 6-yard box like that, and good opportunity for Charlotte, actually.
Really not dealt with well by the Riverhounds, and Bob Lilly off the bench there shouting some instructions. I don't think he was very happy how they defended that corner.
Telling them to get it organized. Somebody's got to call for it, and I think Greenspan was going for it and then kind of ducked out of it and left it for the player behind him.
Bilal Duckett leaves this ball for his keeper, Andrew Dykstra. I was about to mention when we saw Lilly on camera, he was seated. That's not a frequent spot for him during these matches, and I think he's more apt to get up as the match continues on. Last time we saw him here, he's pretty frustrated with the Hounds in their 1-0 win against Toronto FC 2. As Dover clears. That was a real grinded out affair for Pittsburgh, as opposed to that 3-0 win against Richmond earlier in the week.
No, it really was, Matt. And again, just, maybe even though they were warned about it, maybe took Toronto a little bit for granted, and really weren't really pushing the game as much as I think Bob would have liked. But they were able to pull it out the end, and the most important thing at this stage is 3 points, and that's what they need here tonight. And I'm sure they're not worried about anything that's going on with Cincinnati and Charleston. They're just worried about the Independents, and for the Independents, they need to win. They have to get out of out of this bad streak they're in, and also pick up some points to get above the playoff line.
Zemansky to Francois, but it doesn't connect for the Riverhounds. Charlotte enters the night 7 points out of 8th. This is a franchise that finished 5th the last 2 years and made it to the quarterfinal round in the postseason. This is a rare spot. They're in some trouble, are the Independents.
Again, one of the things, back to our midfield setup again, but one of the things that we're seeing a lot is a lot of movement and guys finding different pockets of space wherever they can. And I think it looks like, you know, they have the ability to go into different areas, and again, it's going to be difficult for Charlotte to deal with it. We saw Vanke Azil dropping deep to win the header, but we see Canaro Fields right there deep in the center of the field, tucked in. Francois goes wide, but he also has come tucked in. So they have numbers everywhere, and that makes it difficult for the opposition. So no one set position for anybody there in the midfield.
They seem to be everywhere, yeah.
Doesn't appear to be the case. There's a misconnection again on left flank. Reminder that Select is the official soccer ball of the USL. You saw it delivered to the midfield stripe by the first responders at the start of this match. Go to selectsportusa.com for special offers. Charlotte and Owundi playing deep. Here's Vines, the 19-year-old, trying to run right through Dover. Instead, he dropped it back. Alex Martinez dispossessed by Dabo, but it's a throw for the Independents.
Yeah, terrific ball down the line by Owundi, with Dover did well to get back on it, but that's the kind of stuff I think that they want from him.
Vines has a go. Vanke Azil got in the way. Suddenly, 3 corner kicks in a row for Charlotte.
See kind of some confidence coming into the Charlotte team right now in the last 2 or 3 minutes, Gino, and now they've got another corner kick, and they've been pretty dangerous on the last couple that they've had, where the ball's been dropping in the 6-yard box. And
they have, Paul, especially that last one. I mean, we saw Mike Kirk deal with the first one pretty easily, but
yeah.
And they have some big guys. Owundi, Kalungi are up there. Duckett, some guys that go up and get it in the air. So this is Riverhounds have to defend this.
Herrera with another try. Players rise. Roberts and Greenspan wanted out for Pittsburgh, but right back toward the 6. Roberts has to clear again. Hugh Roberts, former All-USL defender. He's come on in the second half of this season for Pittsburgh. And now Mike Kirk has the ball at his foot. The Riverhounds survived that. Pittsburgh has not conceded a first half goal at home all year in 12 matches. They've either played from ahead or they've taken that 0-0 into the half. Of course, they probably feel like they could nick one here before the half tonight with how they've controlled play.
I'm sure that Bob Lilly would love to see that happen, because just to break that confidence thing and make them feel a lot better going into the dressing room at halftime with a goal.
Here we see Vanke Azil dropping deep between the 2 center backs, Roberts and Greenspan. That allows Ray Lee to get up pretty high, and really then that allows Francois to have a little bit more freedom in the midfield. So, and they'll do the same thing with Dover here on the right side. And that's a good
a little
touch.
Too far for Brett. A lively boot from Forbes after a fine little connection through the midfield. Dabo up ahead, and then Zemansky took part as well. Francois blocks this attempted clear from Duckett, Charlotte's captain.
That would have been a good combination there. He just didn't catch the ball and where he wanted to put it, and was unlucky actually, because that would have been a great one-on-one with the keeper.
Nardo Forbes is tied for 8th in the USL with those 7 assists. He leads the team. 1 goal as well, but he's played more playmaker this year than anything else. That's what we expected from him. Good at both ends of the field, honestly, as Francois runs into Duckett. Now the Hounds might have a chance, and Francois turns it up the field. Francois sliding it through, maybe a yard too far for Brett to get to, and Brett gives him the thumbs up.
Yeah, there was just nobody else coming in as well, so...
no layers in that counter.
Couldn't get the leftovers, you know.
But again, we see Francois, that's what he loves to do. And Nico Brett looking for somebody to combine with.
Jordan Dover saved it with a back heel. That drew applause from the crowd. Now he tries to ram his way right through. Kalungi puts it through into the box. No one home there near the spot. Charlotte a little careless now. That attempted to clear his block, but no harm as it's in on Dykstra.
Yeah, I mean, it's been tough for Jordan, Jordan and Jan Ekra there in the midfield. Was once Forbes comes into the middle with Zemansky and with Vankiazil and with Dabo, they're kind of outnumbered there, Paul, you know, and then they press them a little bit with the ball. So
this is
rushing back Kalungi to nod this in on his keeper. So the first 15-20 minutes saw a cohesive Riverhounds attack. Since then, hit or miss. As a result, Charlotte has had the ball a bit more. Dabo just slugs that one up through the middle. To no one in particular.
I think you know what's bugging Major, you know.
Yes, Paul, you look upset.
So Nico Brett, he goes and closes the goalkeeper down to make him rush the kick, and then he walks out of the defensive end. We win the ball back, and he's in an offside position. Yeah. He doesn't, he's got to get this habit of getting back on side as quick as he can, because he'll probably get another chance because we're winning balls in midfield and he can get a breakaway again, but he's just casually walking back and it drives me crazy.
It's not typical from Nico this year either, because he's had a really great work rate overall, I would say. That's been one of his defining characteristics.
I think that's one of his, just one of the things he needs to work on to become a better player, because he does work hard to try and win the ball back, but then he casually walks back thinking, I don't need to rush back and get my win, but it's back in the offensive end, and he's in an offside position and can't do anything.
And also what we've seen from our midfielders, then they see him up there and they're playing long balls over the top that are really unnecessary.
No.
You know, and we're so much better when we're trying to play through the midfield.
Lee tries to slide it, and Zemansky unable to catch up. It's different seeing Ben Zemansky more of an attacking role. It's only happened once or twice this season, as far as I can recall.
Yeah, we saw it a couple weeks ago, didn't we? With I think he and Vankiazil started there, and Ben was sitting deeper, and then Ben got a yellow card, and we saw Bob Lilly push him up a little bit higher, so he wouldn't be in the mix defensively as much. It wouldn't be as much of a risk defensively. So. Yeah, you know, throughout his career, he's played everywhere, but certainly you're right, Matt. You don't see him up that high.
Look at Greenspan go to get that one about 10 feet in the air. I think he headed that.
He got some span on that, didn't he? He really got up in the air. I mean,
well, Joe clocks in at 6'6", 209 out of Westfield, New Jersey. Tallest member of the Hounds. Hugh Roberts is up there too at 6'4". You like to have some height on your back line, and the Riverhounds do tonight. They're two central men, with Thomas Vankiazil playing support. Vankiazil has to be in the mix for Rookie of the Year consideration. He doesn't have the stats, obviously, that are going to dazzle you, but he's played nearly every minute for the Riverhounds this year.
There we go, Matt, too. I mean, we saw Ray Lee up very high, and then Francois running overlap behind, because Roberts would go out wide and towards the touch. So they're really trying to push both outside backs up into the midfield or up front, and that allows our midfielders to have a little bit more freedom.
Alex Martinez won that ball, 26-year-old from Uruguay. Enzo Martinez missing this year for Charlotte. Got the call up to Colorado, the Rapids. So that's been an adjustment for Mike Jeffries.
Oh, there's a player wide open
chests it down. It's in for Vines. And was that deflected? I believe it. Well, I thought it was. Instead, it was just shot right off the facing of the front office there behind the goal. To our left, Jordan Dover slid in to pressure Vines.
Yeah, Dover. I think Dover's pressure forced him to go up, try to play it over Dover, and it was way too high. And
fine.
But that was the next opportunity for Charlotte.
How did he get that wide open? Nobody picking him up.
That's what Jordan Dover is wondering, because he had to cover Herrera, and then he rushed over.
Yeah, a great little chest from Herrera, who just turned it over to Vines, and he has to do a little bit better with it.
They just lost him and didn't pick him up on the radar there till the last minute.
Both Roberts and Vunke, as you were trailing the play, I think each thought the other was taking Herrera, and so that forced Dover to close down, and then all of a sudden, Sam Vines nearly had his first USL goal. Lee, so some disjointed play for the Riverhounds lately, but Brett can change all that with a well-placed strike. That one's blocked, though. Francois leaves it. Here's Forbes putting it on target, or at least trying to, and cleared by Duckett out.
Oh my God, Zemansky just got dumped, and then Martinez just pushed him.
I didn't see that. I was looking at the ball, and out of the corner of my eye, you could see a swirl of color there out near the penalty arc, and Zemansky's telling the assistant referee he grabbed my jersey.
Yeah. But Martinez, I mean, you can see, again, what are they doing there with all these yellow cards? He came right over and stepped right up to Zemansky and pushed him shoved him two hands inside the penalty area.
So Martinez lucky to not be caught there because of all the action.
Away from him, yeah.
That's probably what saved him. Maybe that's part of his thinking, too. Maybe he thought he could get away with something on Zemansky, and Ben Zemansky is not one to shy away from physical or borderline dirty play we've seen.
And he put his arms up right away after the shove. If the AR1 on assistant referee on this side,
Zemansky was looking at him to tell the referee
tell him what's going on. I mean, he had to see that.
They got a headset on as well, so he can communicate.
I believe that's Ian McKay, the near side assistant referee. Lee's throw, trying to go all the way to the byline for Brett. That's headed off the pass by Kalungi. Kalungi now colliding with Brett, but Brett wins that header, bounces free. No one took it for Charlotte, but then it's ripped away by Jan Ekra. Ekra couldn't get it through Dover, and now Vines saving it. Inbounds for the Independents.
So Paul, I love how the Riverhounds immediately chasing and not letting them play out of there. I mean, Jan Ekra had space for about a tenth of a second, and he was closed down right away. Like he spun, he had some freedom, and boom, Dover was in on him, and they are not permitting them to play. There's not a lot of space for them to come out of the back.
No, it's nice to see that, Gino, because that's what you need, and it sparks everybody on the team. Everybody's closing down really quickly.
And here's a great spot by Forbes. Lee leaves it. Francois, he has taken it from that spot before. Now Brett, overrun by defenders. Forbes, connection. Francois, what a stop! Dykstra.
Some great combinations there. I mean, from the Riverhounds, you know, Ben Zemansky, a little back flip, and they did really well to force that. And again, we saw it coming out of the back again, finding Ray Lee, the left back up high, which permits Francois to come inside, and then he's running at us.
I thought Francois was going to let it go to Lee.
So that was after the pass, and then
now you're going to see it.
Away, and then Canardo Forbes to Zemansky to Francois, and of course Dykstra, who's been a stalwart right now. He's been terrific for Charlotte.
You see Ben Zemansky's quality there. It's what has allowed him to play over 100 games in Major League Soccer over his career, now into his early 30s in Pittsburgh. We have some bloodlines we've talked about. Native of Akron, though, just down the road. Zemansky wins it, turns. Dover, he was run through, and this will be a foul.
Might be another yellow card.
And this is Martinez again.
Brutal leg-on-leg tackle from Owundi.
No card, though. So
Nothing forthcoming from Elvis Osmanovic. 41st minute, and the Riverhounds have their latest free kick setup. There's that turn.
Great little turn from Ben.
Wasn't that much.
Caught Dover in a tough spot. Francois will set up near the spray-painted dot. One of the newer innovations in the sport of soccer. Hey, at least there's some precision now with this stuff, as opposed to, yeah, right about there is fine.
Charlotte trying to hold their line right at the edge of the penalty area. We see Herrera trying to get them organized.
There's a lot of space in there. Right,
a lot of space there. If he gets this up and maybe behind him, I'm going to see. And then, of course, you got to be looking for Joe Greenspan again on this.
Like 16 yards between the keeper.
Six Hounds runners. It's right in. A little too far, though, for Vunky Azil. And is that Greenspan? Yes, it was, trying to get to the end of it. He slid down, and the cross floated right past Brett's head, and it was only Greenspan who could save it.
And again, really, Dykstra, I think, impressed with him and his decision-making there. A lot of keepers would have been tempted to go for that. It was driven low, tough for him to get there, and he saw that that thing was going to run over the end line, so he let it go.
You're going to see Dykstra here.
It's not there, and you see Dykstra's, I got it, and back to cover his goal that even if Greenspan gets there, he's in position.
Kalungi couldn't head it out. The Riverhounds might have something on the turnover. Dover from the flank. Dover, is he trying to put it over the head of Dykstra? He was. In fact, it looked like maybe a foot too high.
Or
was it a misstruck cross?
Or a bit of tweener.
Yeah. One or the other. Hit it and hope.
Yeah, he kind of looked and then he turned around, and I think the expression on his face.
I think in the film room he's going to say that he was trying to chip Dykstra to the back post.
But those are the ones, if they go in, you said, oh, definitely. I meant that to happen. You know?
Those are the ones you say, what? Nice goal.
The Riverhounds haven't had too many of those from outside the 18 this year, just a couple, and just recently, in fact, both from Nico Brett. So maybe they're due one of those to go in this season. They've only scored 15 in 12 home matches, so
there's a chance he'll
especially here they have not converted as much.
Yeah, I thought that just a wasted boot.
And look at Francois get it.
Runs it down.
Lee overruns. Can Forbes save it? Forbes turning to cut, and too many white shirts over in that direction.
Oh, he's got it.
But here's a take from Dover. Jordan Dover putting in a fine day's work here in the first half, at least. Right on back to Zemansky. Now barely inside the area. Forbes will turn and drive it off the leg of Jordan. Something from nothing there for the Riverhounds, and it's a corner kick.
Exactly.
So that's 4 corners for the Riverhounds, 3 for Charlotte. Zemansky, as he has from this spot before, will do the honors.
Into the 45th minute as well. This would be a great time for him. Oh.
Drives it in low this time, and Forbes wanted the back heel flick for Brett. Did not get through. Dabo, Mohamed Dabo. A good
Francois
dish.
Wide
Francois,
open.
He cuts inside, and it's blocked. Nearly went down on the trip, in fact, but kept his feet because he could sense the chance. Charlotte just barely hanging on at the moment, right at the end of this first half. Lee sends it right back into the mix, and headed clear by Kalungi, who's cleaned up quite a few messes here. Greenspan. 2 minutes will be added on, we're told. Oh, pardon me, it's just 1 minute. Changing their minds down there at the table. The fourth official. They'll put that number 1 up in the air for all to see in just a moment as Dover takes it on the 1-2. Jordan Dover's in, and Dykstra kicked the cross away.
Hit it.
Pulling it down is Forbes. He could not.
Zemansky.
And now Zemansky into the Steel Army it goes.
Oh, Dykstra just got a leg on that one. I mean, Hounds almost went into the dressing room with the lead.
That's twice the right leg of Dykstra has been saving for Charlotte.
Dover Forbes, nice little from Bernardo Forbes again. Ball across.
I thought he was going to spin around and hit it with his left foot.
Nico was right there if Dykstra doesn't get a foot on that one.
Paul, you were talking about Forbes. Heavy touch, I think, doomed him there.
Yeah.
He wanted to, but he could not control it. Actually spun away from him on the artificial surface.
He didn't get the touch he really needed there, Matt, and he kind of spun away from him.
Meanwhile, here's Sam Vines crossing back post. Who's that off of? It's a Riverhound who touched it last. It was off the flat top of Hugh Roberts. 4th corner, Charlotte.
Hands have got to be tight here and really close this one down with this one.
Yeah, Can't afford a lapse in concentration here.
No, definitely with a few seconds left.
Kirk
Oh,
again takes the ball from Herrera. Mike Kirk,
And
2
that's
saves
the final
and
whistle.
2 taken crosses. And there's the whistle to end the first half. Just a brief duration of stoppage time, some protests in the box. In fact, from Caleb Calvert, he's saying he was grabbed onto, talking to the referee Osmanovic. And now Robertson Greenspan are discussing things with the men in red.
Yeah, I think they're saying there's some pushing and pulling and tugging, and they're not happy, and they're trying to let the referees know what's going on there in the box, and probably ask them to watch it for the second half.
So we've seen this story before, 0-0 at the half for the Riverhounds. They've done much of their offensive work in the second half at Highmark Stadium, at least this season. It's been an interesting part of this year for them. That'll have to be the case if they want to pull out the 3 points tonight against the Charlotte Independents. You see the score there. We'll be back to talk about what we saw, what we expect to see in the second half, and also take a look around the USL, including an update on the Golden Boot race. 2 candidates for the Golden Boot playing here tonight, in fact. This is USL Soccer on ESPN+. We'll be back after this break.
A lot of clients ask us what makes us different. The first thing that comes to mind for me is Joyce's signature collection. We truly are jewelers. We're passionate about jewelry. We understand the process of making jewelry and what it takes to make the highest quality product at the best value. We travel the world to bring back and create the most unique diamond jewelry collection that you will find anywhere. If you've never shopped Joyce's, I personally invite you to visit our store. I know you're gonna love it.
At Joyce's Jewelry.
I just want to make sure that I just do everything I can to just protect him and love him and just, you know, just be the best mom I can be.
Yeah. And with your first, you want to know the doctor because you want to be comfortable with them.
Yeah. I don't want to feel like I'm at a baby factory.
Be like this.
The region's fastest growing labor and delivery program is at Allegheny Health Network.
Forbes has an open man. Jamaican to Jamaican. And buries it. Nico Brett, beautiful.
Catch the action at Highmark Stadium as the Riverhounds battle for a home playoff position. On September 7th, the Bethlehem Steel FC roll into town for a special Friday matchup. Gates open at 5:30 p.m., $1 beers until kickoff. Purchase your tickets at riverhounds.com or call 412-865-GOAL.
Through the years, you've done right by investing in your home. And now, you can use that equity to borrow money for the things you need. With a low 1.99% APR and no fees, you can apply for a home equity loan online and use the money to upgrade to that minivan, make home improvements, or finance college. At Clearview, we can help you find ways to use the equity in your home for more important things. Let us help. Visit us online for more information. Clearview Federal Credit Union, the next generation of personal banking.
Back on the south side of Pittsburgh here at Highmark Stadium, the hometown Riverhounds in a 0-0 draw through 45 minutes against the Charlotte Independents. I'm Matt Geica with Paul Child and Gene Klein alongside. Yes, it is the full 3-man booth. We're going to take a look ahead for both teams as they go from August into September. And we've spoken of Charlotte's struggles to pick up points. Doesn't get any easier next time out as they will take on the defending champions, Lou City FC. And one thing about Louisville, they may give up some goals, but they can score plenty. They've already put 4 in against Charlotte once this season, as you see there. And to make it even more difficult, it's on short rest. This is part of a 3 games in 8 days span for the Independents. Everyone's got to deal with it, I guess, Paul, so they have the busy part of their schedule right now.
Yeah, that's going to be a tough one, and I'm sure that they really would like to come away with some points tonight, Matt. I mean, that's super important for them, especially with this road schedule that they've got and some of these tough teams that they're going to come up against. So it's important for them to come out and fire on all cylinders in the second half.
And there you see Nashville, borderline playoff team. Charleston Battery, we've spoken about them and how they've been red hot since the 4th of July. So it doesn't get much easier. That's the basic gist for the Independents. That's usually how it is when you're fighting to get back into the playoffs. As for the Riverhounds, tied for second place in the USL's Eastern Conference. They'll take on, for the second time this year, the Tampa Bay Rowdies on Wednesday night right here at Highmark Stadium. The Rowdies, formerly of the NASL, one of the longer tenured soccer traditions in America, is home in Tampa Bay. It was a 2-2 draw last time the Riverhounds took on Tampa. And Gene, it's part of a 2-game week for Pittsburgh. The saving grace is they can lay it out on the line because they don't have to come back to action until the following Wednesday. So at least they have that going for them, despite the short rest.
Yeah, and they'll be ready. I mean, we have Riverhounds have a deep squad. I mean, Bob Lilly has rotated that squad effectively the entire season. Certainly Tampa's coming here, as all these teams are at this point in the season, needing points. So every game is tense, and every team has to be really prepared and alert, and you can't have lapses, or you can't come out flat in any of these games. I mean, you know, Charlotte, on the other hand, has struggled a little bit, and it's been a while, over a month since they've had a win. And I think the Riverhounds, with that momentum, which you can't underestimate, that the value of that is going to be really helpful for them coming back on Wednesday against Tampa Bay.
You also saw 2 games in 4 days against Indy and then at Cincinnati going into the month of September. So that's something to look forward to, a key stretch for the Riverhounds if they want to keep pushing, for the top spot in the Eastern Conference. We'll return in just a little bit. In the meantime, here's a feature from San Antonio FC about Greg Cochran and the obstacles overcome to craft his pro soccer career. We'll think you'll enjoy that, and then join us after the other side of that break. Keep it right here.
Cochran tonight appearing in his 71st career match with San Antonio FC. He's been with the club all 3 seasons, most consistent there on the back end.
I felt like my whole life I've always had to prove people wrong. Getting cut from the state ODP team when you're 13 because you're too small. And then in your club team, you sit on the bench until you're 16 or 17 years old because you're too small. Everything kept referring back to you're too small. There's no better feeling in the world of being able to look at someone that told you no and to be able to say, I told you so. You kind of see it all when you go through times of playing, getting cut, being someone on the field, playing all the time. It kind of gives you a good grasp of where different players are and what their mentality might be. It's definitely shaped who I am. I wouldn't change anything for my career, for how it's gone. Not only have I grown as a player, I think I've grown as a man in terms of being able to deal with anything that I really think that's thrown at me. I think there's a bunch of different ways that you can be a leader. Bring my lunch pail to work every single day, and I try to get better every day. And if I have that kind of mentality and other people see me pushing, regardless of what we're doing, that's the kind of leader I want to be. This is my 3rd year here, and to be able to stay in one place and to really grow with it has been a tremendous honor, and it's something that I don't take for granted at all. Every time that I step on the field, I hope that I represent this club and this city. It's a privilege to play for such a passionate fan base. I'm Greg Cochran, defender for San Antonio FC.
Jason Johnson! You've got to be kidding me! Oh, what a finish for Alex Bruce! Sunday the other way. Oh, what a goal! Near post! Oh, what a finish by Charlie Ward! And what a world-class goal that is from Didier Drogba! Great save for Skrzynski! Diving stop! Must-see TV.
Well, we look forward to Phoenix Rising against San Antonio FC. Hope you enjoyed that feature on Greg Cochran. I know we did. That's a 10 p.m. start on ESPN3. That's our game of the week. It's been a spectacular package here with Mike Watts on the call. Back-to-back weeks, in fact, with San Antonio at the forefront. Rio Grande Valley, former club of Mike Kirk, the Hounds started goalkeeper tonight. That's 8 p.m., a little more reasonable for those of you in the Eastern time zone. But right back out west, Rio Grande and Phoenix, September 5th after Labor Day. And we keep it out west. Real Monarchs. They've been right near the top of the Western Conference all year long. And St. Louis, competitive as they always have been in their 4-year tenure in the USL. That's another 10 p.m.er. They're all on ESPN3, so you can find them online, whether it be the ESPN Plus or other avenues that you have. Upcoming in the Eastern Conference. Yeah, enough about the West, right? Let's take a look and see some key games coming up midweek. Red Bulls 2, they're in the playoff zone. North Carolina FC, they're trying to hang in there too. That'll be Tuesday. Then Wednesday, Ottawa Fury has been better in the second half. Bethlehem Steel is surging. They went from out of the playoffs to 5th. I told you how tight it is from 5 through 8 in the East. And we mentioned already, the Rowdies pay a visit to Pittsburgh. We'll be here with the call on Wednesday night and a half an hour after us on Wednesday. Charlotte and Lou City, a battle of southern teams here in the East. Two teams relatively new to the USL game. So the Western Conference may be dominating the game of the week here, but the upcoming schedule, plenty of action. Just log on to ESPN Plus to find them, or your local station if you are in those USL markets. There you see PPG Place in downtown Pittsburgh, right across the river. We'll return with highlights, stats, and the second half kick after this.
Ow.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay.
That one a little bit.
A little bit right here?
Yeah, right there.
Well, it looks like we can treat this in just a cast. So is this your first time getting a cast?
Yes.
Does it feel nice?
Yeah, it feels nice.
Call 412-DOCTORS for a same-day appointment at Allegheny Health Network.
Forbes has an open man. Jamaican to Jamaican. And Brett buries it. Nico Brett, beautiful.
Catch the action at Highmark Stadium as the Riverhounds battle for a home playoff position. On September 7th, the Bethlehem Steel FC roll into town for a special Friday matchup. Gates open at 5:30 p.m., $1 beers until kickoff. Purchase your tickets at riverhounds.com or call 412-865-GOAL.
All right, that's enough, you two. Don't paint your brother. No, you can't eat the clay. What can I say? Moms just know. I'm Christine Sorensen, and as a mom, I know parents know a lot. But for the few things we don't know, there's Kidsburg, your go-to resource for all the great things in our area for kids and families. Everything from kid-friendly events, creative learning, and help for parents. It's every Wednesday on KDKA TV, emailed to your inbox and online at kidsburg.org.
The Riverhounds Technical Training Academy is back this winter at the AHN Sports Complex at Cool Springs. The 15-session program runs from December to March and is loaded with skills development taught by professional players from around the world. Registration opens in August. Sessions begin December 1st. Find out more by emailing wintertraining@riverhounds.com or by calling 412-325-7238.
This is the 10th time, or pardon me, 12th time in 34 matches that we've been scoreless at the half. It seems like all 12. When I say we, I mean matches involving the Riverhounds. And it feels like they've all been at home so far. Anyway, there you see the score, Pittsburgh and Charlotte. Let's go to the stats. Actually, let's go to the highlights, pardon me, from the opening 45 minutes. There's some first responders taking care of the game ball and some frantic action. The Riverhounds were sharp on the counter, but you know, Charlotte put together a few combinations too. Here's Herrera, the best look perhaps for Sam Vines.
Yeah,
he can't find the range.
They were able to play that one. Jorge Herrera was able to chest it down to Vines, and Dover came over, made him rush the shot a little bit, and he put it over top.
Yeah, Vines got free there somehow, and they lost him. So here's a great opportunity where we see.
This was Brett. This was the flick from Zemansky you'll see in just a second. And Francois denied. Dykstra stretching out with both hands.
Yeah, Francois unlucky there, Gino. Matt with the left-footed shot didn't really get a lot on it. A little bit higher, and he might have caught Dykstra and got it over the top of him. But this was a great play here, going down the right side, and Dykstra getting his leg out and blocking it. And he thought Forbes could hit that one with his left foot, but he kind of spun away from him.
Yeah, and if Dykstra doesn't get a leg on that one, Nico Brett is lurking right in behind him, and he's going to have a good chance to put it in. So Dykstra has been very, very solid for the Charlotte Independents in the first half.
This might be the most lopsided possession half that we've seen this season for Pittsburgh, 65-35, and it felt it. 7 shots to 4, 3-1 on target. And corners were 4-4. That's about the only way that the match was even in the opening 45. We also have a substitution. You might recall that Jorge Herrera, the 10-goal man for Charlotte, came up gimpy about 20 minutes into this thing, took the business end of a Mohamed Dabo challenge. Well, he's come out. Jake Ironman, the 22-year-old from New Jersey, checks in. And so we spoke about losses for Charlotte. One for suspension for yellow card accumulation, one for an injury, another for an injury here with Herrera. So a less than full strength independent squad goes to work here in the second half with the Hounds attacking from right to left in their black and gold uniforms.
And I wonder if Jake Ironman was born to run because he's from Freehold, New Jersey. And, oh man. And Bruce Springsteen territory, so we will keep an eye on him.
I'm sure he's got some energy sitting on the bench, 22 years old, the rookie pro. Arman in, Herrera out. That's the news here at the start of the second half.
Well, again, they're going to have to rely on some younger guys to step up, losing another veteran in Herrera, and that makes it more of a challenge for them, but again, opportunities for the independents. And you know, we mentioned at halftime it's been over a month since they've had a win, and I think they've only had 2 wins since June, Paul. And
sure.
We see frustration creeping in, and they're going to have to find a way to control that and stay steady and to at least pick up a point in this game.
Yeah, they can't get carried away and think go for goal, because we know the Hounds can counter-attack, and really I think if the Hounds get 1 goal, we know it can end up being 3. So Charlotte trying to keep it as close as they can for as long as they can and get some chances.
Jake Ironman played for Maryland and Monmouth. 2-team career.
Freehold, New Jersey, also the hometown of ex-Riverhound player and our current sporting director, Jason Cutney. So that's his hometown, so I'm sure that they were catching up on what's going on there.
Arman played for Red Bulls under 23 last season. So he comes over to Charlotte. He got a quick touch on the ball here right in front of us. There you hear the horn blast from one of the Gateway Clipper fleet sailing down the Monongahela behind the field.
Great ball there.
Francois flags it down well, too.
Yeah, he did well with that.
Francois in. Here's a cross. We've seen that before. Bounces free, and Forbes turns it around. Chips it back against the grain, but Dover unable to close on it. And it's a goal kick for Charlotte.
He thought he ricocheted off the defender there, but he didn't, and was looking for a corner kick. But linesman wide on it.
Pittsburgh Riverhounds already have the 2nd most points in team history, 52. Only the 2004 season with a 17-2-1 mark was better. Led to more points accumulated in the standings for the Hounds. But they're still chasing Cincinnati. Still a carrot at the end of that stick, no doubt.
Well, for sure, the Riverhounds are going to set a lot of team records, but I think the one that this whole group wants more than anything is a championship, and that's what Bob Rulli has worked very hard to change the culture and get players in with a mentality of winning games and closing games down and trying to find ways to stay up there and push the game.
Speaking of pushing the game, here's the man who can do it. Francois bends it through, but Owundi got a heel on it to at least flick it clear of the penalty area.
There's Canardo Forbes again, like on every little knockdown, second ball, he seems to be there, Paul.
He seems to be there to pick it up, yeah, taking it out of the air and setting it up for somebody else. But
Dover's been lively. Offside was Forbes by a hair. could be one of Jordan Dover's strongest games. He has been sharp.
And very active too, Matt. I mean, it's a great point. I mean, very sharp, very active. I mean, they're pushing he and Ray Lee up high, as we mentioned in the first half, and they need to find them, I think, a little bit better, you know.
Speaking of Ray Lee, he's down here.
Yeah, I thought he was having trouble
on
with
the sideline.
His boots earlier.
Yeah, it looks like he's changing it.
He was slipping all over the place, and finally they're the same color, but maybe a different stud.
That's assistant coach Mark Pulisic conversing with Lee, perhaps helping with the wardrobe change. In the meantime, play continues here with the Riverhounds getting a throw. Cincy is ahead 1-0 on an Emmanuel Ledesma goal, we're hearing from out of town. Ryan Rose, our producer at Vista, filling us in with the out of town scoreboard. So the top dog in the East has its nose ahead against the number 3 team in Charleston.
Oh, Brett
Nearly got there. He's done it a couple of times this year, stolen it away. And now Brett wants the throw from Francois. He's not going to get it. And the hasty clearance by Duckett at least buys Charlotte some time. 51st minute. Like I was saying at the half, this is the 12th time the Hounds have been scoreless at the half. They barely conceded in the first half at home. In fact, they haven't at all, pardon me. 0 goals allowed in the first half. That streak continues.
Ray Lee still putting his other boot on.
Yeah, he's still trying to find
the
right foot.
This would play in the attacking third. The Hounds can make up for it with a player pressing up. That was Dabo there to win. Greenspan, a bit ambitious on
really.
Dykstra with that ball.
And Ray Lee's finally got his boots back on, and we're back to 11 players on the field. So.
Well, with Jorge Herrera out, the Riverhounds certainly have the edge and quality at the moment. And Herrera has killed the Hounds over the years. 11 goals against Pittsburgh. That's a wild ball up ahead. Bouncing off the artificial turf. It's a different kind of game here for teams. They've talked about it quite a bit. All the opposition saying that it's a higher tempo type of a situation here as Francois was dispossessed.
Yeah, Highmark Stadium is one of the tighter fields in the league, and all the teams know that, and they prepare for it. And of course, the Riverhounds take advantage of that with their pressing and their pressure and really trying to maintain that tempo.
There's an example of that with Roberts trying to keep the Independents bottled in. Forbes, does he have an avenue? He does not. Ekra was there to rip it away. He got some help, too, from Martinez.
Oh, well done by Dabo.
But Dabo got it back. And now Dover with the throw.
Forbes took an extra touch there, and I thought he was going to try and get a shot off, and didn't. And
he's been looking for a shot more, but not in that case. Not tonight, necessarily, to your point. Has the 1 goal on the year, along with the 7 assists, does Canardo Forbes. Kenny, they call him. Native of Jamaica, one of 3 Jamaicans on this Riverhounds roster, along with Nico Brett and Romeo Parks, who was back in the game day 18, but he's on the bench tonight. 3 goals on the year for Romeo. Bit of a delay getting out of the back for the Hounds now. Dabo spins it accurately for Greenspan. Makes a rare foray over the center stripe. Francois turning this way and that. Now he leaves it for the darting Dabo. Lee, fresh boots on.
Francois does a real good job against defenders, because you can see the defenders are kind of, they don't know where he's going to go because he's so quick with his feet that he gets them all tied up in knots and blows by them sometimes and gets a good pass in there.
And if he gets it out ahead of him, he loves to run at them and like you said, forces them to make decisions, the areas of the field they don't want to make.
Exactly.
And yeah, dangerous, exciting player for sure.
Last time we were here 2 weeks ago, it was his assist that led to Nico Brett's winner in the 1-0 defeat of Toronto FC2.
I think he's got a lot of potential too. You know, he's only 24 years old, and I think Bob Lilly thinks that, you know, he's not even close to what he can be, and I think he's going to get better and better.
And we've seen that progress throughout the season.
Oh yeah,
too.
definitely.
It's like you know, he has some confidence over the last month or so. It's really increased, and he's willing to run at some players and use the speed. And But he's also been able to connect with players better, and I think that was something that they've been working on with him a lot. That he has to, you know, initially maybe he didn't always find ways to bring others into the game, and now he's doing a much better job of that. So we see him run when he draws his two defenders, he's dishing it to Canardo, Forbes, or something.
Yeah, he's picking his situations really good and picking out players, and he wasn't doing that in the beginning, but just got better at it.
Calvert wanted to find Johnson, but Hugh Roberts out-muscled him there inside the 18.
Yeah, Roberts read that very well, Matt. You know, he tried to push it by him. He stepped in and was easily able to win that. And, first time this half so far we've really seen Charlotte do anything in our half of the field.
There's a fine switch of play, though, from Johnson to Vines. The 19-year-old homegrown Colorado Rapids player wanted the cross, but Vunkiazil read that well. And the Hounds get possession. Szymanski will again. The shirt pull tactic has come into play for Charlotte 3 times tonight that we've seen.
He just seems to be their target. He's getting yanked all over the place.
I'd like to have a one-man cam on Szymanski to see what he does, because he always tends to draw the ire of opponents. He's got to be doing something.
Be involved with somebody, yeah.
I would imagine so. Szymanski in the starting role tonight. Kevin Kerr out with a calf injury, so Szymanski steps up. Riverhounds with 2 matches this week, one coming up against Tampa on Wednesday. So the rotation is at least in semi-effect for Bob Lilly. Dabo, Roberts, Hounds go from right to left, and again the overlapping run from Francois creates some excitement here.
And there he goes, taking people
against Duckett. Now here's Lee joining up. Lee's cross is a good one, and Kalungi had to save it.
Nobody coming forward that near post for the Hounds there. I thought Nico Brett might have started taking off towards the near post, but stayed in the middle.
Yeah, I think it was a 1D on that header, Matt.
A 1D, pardon me, yes.
But great combination play. And as we see again, Ray Lee pushing up very high. Cristiano Francois coming central, and then those two combining with each other and really giving Charlotte and like Bilal Duckett, who's playing out here. They're dropping Martinez way back deep, trying to deal with that combination.
To your point, Gene, we've seen a 1D essentially make it a 5-man back line here at times for Charlotte. They've broken out of that 4-4-2 they showed at least on the sheet to start, the lineup sheet.
And it was pretty clear 4-4-2 most of that half, Matt, but I think when the Riverhounds start pushing the game a little bit, they have to drop extra guys back to deal with that.
Yeah, they got definitely 5 defenders there now. If you're looking at the line right now, they're lined up.
Sam Vines looking on as Martinez takes this ball away. No, he doesn't. He lost it there. A pullback from Dover and a chip ball that does not connect with Canardo Forbes over there on the far side of the pitch.
And Charlotte very composed. They're playing it out of the back with Martinez, and now we see you know, Duckett pushing up there and Johnson taking off here, but that ball's out of touch and not a good one. So they're still struggling to play out of the back.
Yeah, they are.
Lee's going to have the throw. The former St. Louis Billiken, Ray Lee, has been strong all year. Look at that volley over the head by Francois, and now Szymanski gets fouled.
That's his second.
Spikes were up on Jordan. That's the second yellow card.
It has to be the red card.
And that's it.
That's it. See you.
The 6th red card of the season issued to the Charlotte Independents. And Greg Jordan, irony of ironies, came into this game with no cards, no yellows, no reds. He's got 2 yellows. He put the spikes up on Szymanski. It looks like into his left thigh. That's where he got it, maybe his midsection. He's grabbing at his stomach, actually. It was way high from Jordan.
Toward his hip,
I think it was way late with this, this challenge. He should have just let it go, but as you can see, he didn't. And Szymanski getting it, and he just...
Yeah, I think the hip might be an apt characterization. And Szymanski hugs it out with Jan Ekra, 2 veterans trying to cool things down. So that's it for Greg Jordan. And for the first time in a Hounds match this year, there is a red card. We have not seen an opponent pick up a red card either. Pittsburgh playing against 10-man Charlotte from the 59th minute on after Greg Jordan checks out.
We're definitely going to see 5 defenders now.
Yeah.
I would imagine so, yes. Tactical changes are in the offing for Mike Jeffries.
And Matt, you pointed out at the beginning of the game all the cards for Charlotte, and and again, and right away we talked about that yellow card early in the game, that you didn't need that, and now it comes back to haunt them. So
yeah, definitely.
So the Riverhounds in the driver's seat, despite this match remaining scoreless. Onus on them to pick up the 3 points for sure. And this is the 3rd of 4 home matches here in August. The Riverhounds have won the first 2. 3-0 against Richmond, 1-0 against Toronto.
Jordan has to make the long walk in front of the Riverhound bench to get to the locker room.
The slow walk.
It's a very slow walk. I mean, the 4th official and the assistant referee will encourage him to pick up the pace a little bit on that one.
What's going on with the referee?
I'm not sure. He's
the 2 players.
It's Brett and Martinez that were part of that powwow, and it's over with. Brett for Pittsburgh, Martinez for Charlotte. Ricardo Forbes, hands on hips. He's waiting and waiting, and finally he's about to get the whistle for the restart of play.
Oh.
A little set play here to the edge of the 18. Yeah. Francois, the dish, Lee. Francois runs toward the 6 as Forbes will take this one back. Canardo Forbes on his left foot to Lee, who has an accurate left foot too. He put it in toward the spot and headed clear by the Independents.
Yeah, well, that was a training ground move there, Schulze. That they were
ball a little bit behind everybody though too, Gino. He needed to get that more into top of the 6-yard box and the penalty spot. Yeah, somebody could have done something with it.
They're trying to really play that second ball and broke down a little bit early. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, and geez,
more discussion.
Charlotte's still going on with the referee.
Elvis Osmanovic is the referee, and he's getting an earful.
I think is that Martinez still?
It is.
I mean, Martinez is.
Yeah, he's in his face all the time.
The entire game. I mean,
I can't believe he's letting him get away with it, to be honest with you.
Alex Martinez has 5 yellow cards on the year.
And I'm shocked he doesn't have a 6th one. To be honest with you.
So we get the announcement on the PA about the red card given to Greg Jordan. Greg Jordan, the midfielder for Charlotte, is done. The Independents have to play short a man. And here's the counter for the Riverhounds. Seeking that first goal. Trying to create it here. Brett wide. He was tripped up. Here's the cross from Dover, and Francois was lurking.
Francois was flying to the near post there.
And Duckett tracked him well and was able to get his left foot on that one. So
that was Forbes, in fact, with the cross, not Dover. Forbes getting into that corner, and he'll handle the corner kick appropriately enough. Will this be the chance that brings the house down for the Hounds? Francois running 2. It'll be a low-driven ball, and Brett got his head to it, but he couldn't get it through.
Yeah, Duckett again was able to pick that one out.
Off an Independence player last. That was Jan Ekra.
Yeah, the Hounds have got to jump all over this situation, Gino, while they can, and really put some pressure on Charlotte, which they obviously are trying to do. That's
great ball here.
Oh, that's a great roll back.
Oh my, Brett! You don't see him miss from there too often, but he did that time.
No, he did not, and you know, there's nothing they could do. Terrific little roll back, and Nico Brett, who does so well making those runs in there, Paul, to get on the end of those things.
It's got to want that one. Must want that one back. Because
the buildup was a beaut as it was Dover getting it, and just enough spin put on that entry ball from Forbes to allow it to check up and get Dover in there.
I think he was trying to hit it too hard, to be honest with you. It probably needed more finesse than a real heavy strike, because it was spinning weird.
It was so spinning, it was difficult, to deal with.
Brett could have converted, it would have tied him for the league lead in goals. Thomas Enevoldsen, the Dane who plays for Orange County, he has the lead, 14.
And it looks like, you know, Charlotte almost in a 4-4-1, but they're gonna drop guys back once they get deep, and when the Riverhounds get in their end, they're keeping their line 5-6 across. And, they're going to sit deep, Paul, and try to make it difficult for the Riverhounds to get behind them.
Yeah, they might need to want to come back out of there, Gino, to kind of open things up again, you know, bring it back out to the halfway line and maybe back into their own defensive end, just to draw Charlotte out, to create some space.
Yes. And if anything, on the Charlotte side, they've been in this situation before with 10 guys, right, Matt?
Yeah, sure. Many.
And so this is the 6th time.
Six times.
So they've...
they know how to play with 10 men.
They have a lot of experience playing with 10 men, so we'll see how that works.
A wild season for Charlotte in that way.
Caleb Calvert pretty much is the lone guy, but then he'll drop back. I think we're going to see he and Arm and one of those guys will go up, and then they'll drop deep.
Remember Mike Kirk? He just got a touch on the ball. He's the Riverhounds starting keeper tonight. Charlotte now tied for the league lead in red cards.
Not something that you want to put on your record book, you know.
Little finesse play from Thomas Vankiazil, but unable to find his man. Dabo chasing Jan Ekra, who pulls away into open space.
My God, you know, Sam Vines went flying down that wing, and Ekra still had his back to his own goal. You know, so a little bit earlier on that run, I think. There's no way Ekra was going to get it to him.
Just hoping that something could happen. That's a hopeful run if there ever was one. Pittsburgh is one of 3 teams without a red card. Cincinnati and Penn FC. Eastern Conference rivals also. Clean so far.
Oh, great.
Here's Francois. He got a lot on that, didn't he? And Dykstra has to reach to find it. Andrew Dykstra's been strong, 32 years old. Veteran keeper. Since he's up 2-0 in its matchup.
I think that's really interesting to hear that Cincy and Pittsburgh, the 2 top teams in the league, are in the Eastern Division, don't have any red cards, and you know there's something to be said for that. You know, you want to make sure that your teams have the focus, the discipline, the organization, you know, when in the composure, you know, throughout all the many tight games and volatile situations that you're going to see during a game. You know,
not getting drawn in to get
not taking the bait on a lot of situations, and it pays off in the end with points.
A rare possession for the Independents, but it's quickly over. Vankiazil rips it away. Francois to Brett, who doubled back to help. And Forbes comes out of the back with it. Sporting the captain's armband is Canardo Forbes. Francois can't handle the ball. Rare error from him tonight. Draws the ooh from the crowd.
What do you think? I think we're going to see some couple of substitutions soon from the Hounds.
Yeah, I wonder if we'll see Romeo Parks. You got Dennis Chin on the bench, gives a little bit of spark, maybe up front, push the game a little bit, especially with Charlotte down to 10. Paul, you're going to maybe get in some extra guys, you know.
Yeah, sure. And with fresh legs to really run at them. And we were talking, Parks hasn't played for a little while, so he might be really hungry, and he wants to get in there and show what he's got his stuff.
No, I think that's a great point. He got to be hungry. He got to be dying to get back in there and really try to
get on the board.
Get on the board and get back and say that he's ready for this final push of the season.
Well, it looks like Chin and someone else getting instructions from Bob Lilly down to our left. This play continues on. Zemansky the give. Brett behind Forbes, but Dover's there to cover up. Jordan Dover, native of Canada, played an incredible game so far tonight. Zemansky, Dover is in, but he couldn't get the shot. The final touch betrayed him. Ben Zemansky once or twice now tonight, in fact, has played set up in the box.
But you're right, Matt. Dover has been, this is as attack-minded as we've seen him all season, really. I mean, he's spent a lot of time in the Charlotte penalty area.
I think it's Noah Franke that he's looking to put in as well
with Chin.
With Chin, you know. And Noah's got a couple of shots this season, and he did very well the last game he got into here.
Played well against Richmond. Brett is going to try to gather it. He can't on the first bounce, and by that time, Owundi had recovered for Charlotte. But we talk about Dennis Chin, just 27 minutes played on the season. Chin was key in the build-up to that Brett goal that beat Toronto. And here's a look at Vankiazil to Zemansky. And Dover just closed down upon. Vines did well, in fact, to get a foot in. And Noah Frankie has just played in 4 matches, 270 minutes, a couple of starts. Chin, the veteran, Frankie, relatively new to the pro ranks.
So I think a couple options for...
Good work from Calvert to get Arman into the box, and he missed the goal from maybe 15 yards out.
Wow, golden opportunity for Arman. Really golden opportunity for him to put Charlotte on top. And
Jeffries must be going crazy here, you know.
A bit of brilliance from Calvert, who chipped it past Lee.
And then Jake Arman has it.
Arman around Roberts, and he picked his spot, gentlemen, but just pushed it.
Roberts and Greenspan got kind of big, tall, lanky legs, got kind of wrapped up, and it went right by them.
It was reminiscent of the goal the Hounds allowed at Bethlehem last week. More just players getting beat 1v1 in those spots.
Well, it's going to be interesting what Bobo is going to do. Is he going to pull off a defender here, Paul, because you know Charlotte is down a man? Do we really need 4 in the back? Or he's going to keep that, or is he going to try to make some changes through the midfield? For sure, he's bringing on 2 attacking players.
Yeah.
So we'll
be interesting to see. I think
Vankiazil with a good ball. Again, Owundi is there.
You might think he might be taking Nico Brett, but I wouldn't do that when he's been scoring the way he has.
Zemansky wanted to find Brett breaking to make a run.
I mean,
no sale.
Right. I mean, he could have. Is he going to let Kenny Forbes come a little more central?
Dabo, Mohamed Dabo, native of Senegal, started 5 matches in a row now. Francois doubling back. 1v3, slides the ball through to Ray Lee.
Oh, just over.
Whistles it past the head of Brett, does Lee, and Dykstra just let it go.
So we could see, you know, and it looks like it's going to be Zemansky, because they're going to bring in a more attack-oriented player.
And Ray Lee. And,
and is Chin going to drop in? Frankie, they could push Kenny Forbes back in central. Ray Lee coming out, so you know, maybe they are going 3 in the back and going probably maybe a more of a 3-4-3.
Bob Lilly keeping the pedal down, clearly. So Zemansky, on a different night, he might have ended up with a couple of assists, but no finish in those spots in close quarters that he helped create, or the chances that he helped create. They were not polished off, and so Zemansky's off. Frankie's running into open space in front of us. Noah Frankie.
Yeah, Frankie taking Lee Ray's spot in left fullback position. I'm sure you're going to see him playing well up the field here on the left and taking people on, because we know he can do that.
Yeah, because they're still going to have Dabo. They're pushing Vankiazil up a little bit higher. Chin will be playing with Nico up top.
Francois over on the right flank suddenly, but he couldn't chip that ball through Vines.
So I think they're going to stick Paul with 4 in the back. But they're really going to. We're going to see Dover and Noah Frankie up very, very high to push it up high, and we'll see. Yeah, Kenny Forbes is coming into the center where he's pretty comfortable with on the ball there and really start distributing some stuff.
Late goals have been the Riverhounds' MO lately. They got one from Brett 2 weeks ago here. They got one from Brett again last week at Bethlehem to win that matchup 2-1. Maybe even a playoff preview if you're looking ahead to the first round already.
No, Frankie's wide open on the side of Joe Greenspan.
I think that's what he wants. He wants him to get it out wide here.
He's dancing.
You want Frankie up on their back line, Paul.
Yeah.
You know, because you want that right back to be able to.
Forbes directing traffic. It's right in there, and a touch from, is that Brett who was sprawled out now?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah, he got hammered in the back there, but referee didn't think it was
Yeah, and I think he was kind of lunging into it.
Sure.
It was like nothing really there. But yeah, but I got to think we're going to see like those guys really, Dover and Frankie really pushing the game a little bit. You know, they'll let Vonkie Azil and Kenny Forbes kind of direct it. Vonkie Azil's gone up a little bit higher, and Kenny Forbes has dropped a little bit deep to a position like we had talked about earlier, a little bit more comfortable sitting in that pocket.
That's the ball they want.
That's the ball that we
Frankie
saw
gets
before.
the first touch, and guess what? He's offside after all that. Must have just been barely behind Joel Johnson here, right in front of our broadcast location.
He looked like he came from a deep position there. I was very surprised he was
I was
offside.
surprised that too.
We just saw the stat flash up on the screen. 3 of the Hounds' last 6 goals have come in the 79th minute or later. And they're just holding out. It has led to some higher blood pressure at Highmark Stadium. Some of these matches have come down to the end.
I also think it's, you know, one of those things where the Riverhounds have controlled things and they break teams down, and it might take a little bit too much time, maybe more than what the spectators and what the coaches would want. But they put so much pressure on them, and you can see now Charlotte with 10 guys for sure. So to me, it's no surprise that they're scoring late all the time, because they wear these
teams down, and teams are getting tired for sure. And,
at some point, there has to be a mistake. That's the theory. If you keep pushing, if you keep pressing. Chin drilled the ball right into the breadbasket. And is that Vines? No, it's...
Is that Martinez?
Martinez,
yes. It is Martinez.
I thought it was a handball after the player went down, but the linesman gave a throw-in.
Well, he's trying to sell a foul call. He thinks a spike got him.
Yeah, he just pulled.
I thought it was more the ball. Yeah, he pulled his shorts halfway down. We get a PG-13 rating on this broadcast.
Did you see that?
Yeah.
This
is a family show there, Martinez. Put your pants back.
Okay, so the knee did go into Martinez's hip, which he continues to display for all to see. That's a new one this year.
Yeah.
And the referee,
family show,
Osmanovic, is not convinced. They continue to
he has
argue.
to well, he has to go off because he's down injured, and then he can come back on.
He may have just said something to the 4th official, who radioed it to Osmanovic via the headset.
Oh, and now he's not letting him on the field.
But Martinez better be careful, because he's slapping away hands of referees.
Yeah. Well,
man,
like you said,
he's playing with fire.
Yeah, he is.
He's going to get a yellow card before the end of the game if he's not careful.
And I think that maybe he'd been booked a lot earlier. That stuff would have been.
Could be.
It would have been stopped.
Vonkie Azil, in the midst of all this, hoists one in for Brett over his head. Noah Frankie's going to want to take this throw, or no, it's going to go over to Charlotte and Joel Johnson, pardon me. Caleb Calvert did well to get control and play it off of Frankie. And now Calvert and Frankie are matching up here on the touchline. The throw comes into Calvert, property of the Colorado Rapids. Another throw for Charlotte. Bob Lilly is in disagreement with that call. His hat's off. He's gesturing angrily.
And the hat comes off from Bob Lilly. We're glad we're up here in the booth, you know?
Roberts with the volley, high into the air. Brett can't command it. Vonkie Azil wins it, though. He's been masterful with those 50-50 balls this year. The duels, most of them have gone Tommy V's way. Maybe he could play hero tonight. That would be a different figure. Francois right through for the overlapping Dover. Dover's in, Dijkstra punches, and Martinez can't get it past Brett. It bounces free. It's off Brett's hand, in fact. That's why the whistle and the stoppage in play.
Well, things are, getting late here, and the Riverhounds, as you had mentioned, Matt, we like to score these late.
Lilly is still talking. He has 2 fingers up in the air now. I think he's actually coaching, no longer getting on the officials' Well, the Riverhounds
but
have
he still
won
had his
3 in a
hat
row.
off too, you know. So.
They've won 3 in a row. This could be a 4th, and if it would be, it'd be the first time in 5 years they've won that many. They just have that one nagging problem. They don't have a goal on the board, despite being up a man. Again, Charlotte playing a man short. Greg Jordan, 2 yellows equals a red for him. And he's off for the rest of the night.
Sometimes that gets difficult, though, too, when you're playing against 10 men, because you in your minds, everybody's thinking, oh, we should have somebody open, and we should get some great chances. But Charlotte's doing a really good job here, and they've obviously had experience.
They're keeping everybody back. I mean,
yeah.
It's almost like a 5. You know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across the line, and 4 in front, a block of 4 in front of that. So they're just gonna sit deep, and they're gonna say, try to beat us here. You know, try to get one. And if they can walk away with a draw, get a point, they're going to be quite happy out of this.
Pretty sure of that, yeah.
Especially with that road record, 2-7-2. It hasn't turned out well, often away from the Sportsplex at Matthews for the Independents. Vanke Azil's into the box. He got his forehead on it, and Frankie picks up the loose change. Roberts, as the Riverhounds just play keep away at the moment.
Oh, good ball.
Forbes right through.
Forbes, yeah.
Vanke Azil saves it from going over to Charlotte. Bernardo Forbes playing again.
I think this is what the Hounds have to do. I mean, they have to keep it on the ground and keep trying to combine and pressure and not forcing stuff like that one.
Yeah, you can't be forcing it, can they, Gino? I mean, they got to make sure that they just keep possession and keep knocking it around and wearing the Charlotte team down. He's still got 10 minutes of regular time, so we're in the 10 minutes.
And there's a lot of Frankie that ball is on his head.
He's showing some spark this season. What can he do in this match? He fell as he was pushed by Johnson on the perimeter. Noah Frankie, Creighton Blue Jays, his former team, now into the pros, and he's gotten his feet wet a little bit this season.
Oh,
a quick restart, Brett! Oh my, he missed the right post. He turned and fired. And what is Elvis Osmanovic saying that has upset Thomas Vanke Azil? Were they thinking it was perhaps off of Charlotte?
Yeah, that's what they were calling for. They thought that deflected off somebody, but
it was close.
I'll tell you what, Charlotte completely switched off there. I mean, they were standing around, and the Riverhounds played it very, very quick. And boy, I thought Nico was going to finish that one.
He has finished lesser chances this season, including one at Bethlehem last week, which might be his goal of the year, the first one. He has 5 and 3. He's misfired a couple of times tonight. Once in the first half from close range and just there. And maybe a tired mistake there from Forbes. Looked up and the ball didn't behave for him at his left foot. Matt Geica with Paul Child and Gene Klein from Highmark Stadium.
Wait some more
It's getting
time.
late. And you would expect this from Charlotte. Down a man, looking for a point any way they can get it. Joel Johnson will step back. And finally put the ball back into play for Martinez, who's eager to get rid of it. Mike Kirk, the starting keeper. It's not Dan Lynn back there. Kirk rolls it out. Dan Lynn made 19 appearances before suffering a facial injury late Sunday at Bethlehem.
Yeah,
it's Mike Kirk's goal for now.
It was a tough collision, too, at Bethlehem, if you had a chance to see that one.
Thought initially it might have been a concussion, and it might be, but Dan Lynn's face took the brunt of that. Coming out to try to prevent a chance, and he did. It might have cost him a few weeks. Here's Forbes turning into space. Forbes overrun by Martinez, though, who continues to have impressive energy. Forbes and Martinez in a battle royal in the corner, and it rolls out to Charlotte. Pittsburgh has had possession. They've had shots. It's a repeating script this season.
Parks is coming in, so.
Will it be Parks for Brett, maybe, at the top of this formation?
I would think so. Not see him going in for anybody else.
It would make a lot of sense. The Hounds rolled out the one striker tonight.
But there again, they've combined sometimes this season for some great goals.
Yeah.
And you want goals, so you know you don't want to get Brett out of there, so I don't think it's.
And Bob Lilly giving him a lot of instructions. We really want to see how Romeo Parks responds to this one. They're taking out a center back, so now they are going to go 3 in the back.
How about that? So
and,
if the pedal wasn't down before, it is now.
Yeah. And Vonk is dropping back.
Yeah, Vonk drops. So maybe they're not going 3 in the back, but they're,
Romeo Parks checks in. Could this be a redemption story? He's gotten on the coach's bad side for a couple of games. He didn't even dress for a match 2 weeks ago here against Richmond. He's been on the bench since, but he has 3 goals on the year. He was red hot at the start of the 16 season. A deep ball, and the Hounds can't make anything of it. Dennis Chin flicked up his leg. So the big guns are in, if you will. Dennis Chin, a lot of experience in this league scoring goals. Dover into the area and wins the corner kick.
And looks like
this is an opportunity here.
Richie Perez is going to come on for the Charlotte Independence here in the 86th minute.
If they can get him on. Here's the corner bouncing in, free ball. Greenspan had it end up behind him, and he turned to try to save it, but couldn't. Ball cleared, and now Ricardo Perez, 23-year-old from Mexico, is set to check into this one. Perez in the 86th.
Somebody's down over there. I don't know what's going on in the box.
Yeah, one of the independents with a leg in the air. Calvert out, Perez in.
Looks like that's the player to sub in.
Yes, it is Calvert.
Yep.
Makes a lot of sense. Caleb Calvert, 21 years old, from California. 1 goal, 2 assists on the year. And he almost got the assist on what would have been a back-breaking goal for Pittsburgh. Jake Arman, about 20 minutes ago, gunned it wide of the left post. That's the only chance Charlotte has had in the second half. Yeah, even if you count the half chances, that's about it.
Yeah, and it was one of the best chances of the night, too. So the Riverhounds dodged that one.
Dabo didn't wait long enough for the whistle, apparently. There will be stoppage time. We know that much, at least a couple of minutes with all the delays that we've had in the second half.
Well, this is the guy I want to see on the ball right here, though. I want to see Canardo Forbes. Put him in the park, and because he has the vision and the composure to try to connect with some guys and combine. So they put Romeo Parks out a little bit left. They have Chin and Nico Brett also. So really 3 up top, but they're pushing Frankie and Dover out wide. So they're really trying to push it.
Frankie
and get some attackers in there.
To Dabo. The Hounds just bottling in the independents right now. Can't get that last bit of quality. And it'll be Parks,
and again,
right near the byline.
Yeah, Canardo Forbes lays that up for Romeo Parks.
Frankie's cross, not good enough.
Yeah, Dykstra's too good on those. So
yeah,
it's
too
be
close to the goal for anybody to do anything weird. This keeper's just going to pick those off like cherries.
It's been a while since the Riverhounds' last scoreless tie. Go back to late June, in fact, at the Charleston Battery. We haven't had one at home since 0-0 against Penn FC in late May. Score holds. This would be the 4th scoreless tie for the Hounds at home. Parks trying to change all that. He's looking for his countryman Chin. Did not connect. Now Forbes. Brett making a run, but Dover couldn't hook up with him. Now Forbes again tries to get it through, but Ekra blocked it.
Tried to get into Dover. So
I don't know what somebody would have done with that one, Gino. He drilled that ball in.
All 4 Jamaicans are on the pitch for the Riverhounds, by the way. 4 out of 11. Not bad. There's the man from Haiti, Francois. Hasn't gotten loose as much in the second half. Forbes tries back post, and it'll be a corner. Getting in front of it, Johnson for Charlotte.
Yeah,
Parks
Johnson
was making the run.
Yeah, Johnson did well. Romeo Parks was right there.
Hounds have got to keep the pressure on here for this next. I guess there's going to be quite a bit of time, I would imagine.
Handful of minutes left. Pittsburgh gets its 7th corner. Frankie right in. Oh, that was a promising deflection by Parks, but blocked out. And well done. I want to say Martinez was the last man to touch it. That could have been headed into a crack there in that Charlotte wall. 8th corner. Frankie one more time. It bounces around. Forbes pulls it down.
There's Nico Brett.
Oh, what a misfire. That's the man you want with the ball on his foot. But he couldn't control the shot. Maybe tried to drive it too hard.
His eyes got bigger than the net.
4 minutes coming up beyond the 90th. And we are in the 90th. And let's take a second look at that Brett miss. He was free. He would have had to really thread the needle.
Yeah, just couldn't get around on that. They got away from him on his first touch. And really couldn't get his hips around the ball to drive it into the goal. Hounds have used everybody, every attacking player they have, Paul, to really try to create something and try to find a way to break down Charlotte. But so far, Charlotte is holding strong.
Is there a last-minute goal? Dover. Frankie is going to have to try to run around this one, and he will. Noah Frankie saves it. A good ball. Dabo unable to flag it, but Forbes will help out. Forbes' ball is a good one there for Dover, but it is offside. There, the flag went up from Aaron Wawrzyniak on the far flank. That was tight.
Yeah, it was very tight there. I mean, Dover running from behind. But again, you see the quality, I think, of Kennardo Forbes and what he can do and how he can find players even in tight spaces.
Yeah, he just never got a good touch on that ball. It just wasn't running for him and got over the top of it.
Forbes has put all of his skills on display tonight. Just hasn't led to a goal. Mike Kirk with the rare handle. Kirk had a save. He had to come up big on some crosses in the first half, too, as Charlotte pressed. That ball was apparently out. Frankie couldn't save it. And now Charlotte looking to kill some time. And it won't be Martinez throwing.
And he'll leave it for Johnson. We're going to see how many dribbles he can get before he throws that in. He can't play.
Chin lurking. Dennis Chin, the Riverhounds veteran forward. Bunky Azil heads it out. That'll kill off some more clock for Charlotte.
Well, I think if Charlotte does escape here with the draw, that's a positive step for them, because they have struggled here for the last month or two. They're down to 10 men again. As we said, tied for the league 6 times with that, and they've showed some character, and they've showed some.
There's a giveaway from Frankie.
Some commitment to try to hold down the fort and make sure that they're at least walking away here with a point. But there's still a couple minutes left to go. And
Big
we'll see
Joe
what
Greenspan
happens.
wants to go long here. He saw Parks breaking open. And now Parks handles the throw-in to the feet of Brett.
You've got to remember, we said at the beginning, this kind of a team is a tough one to play against, because they're on the bubble. This team is coming into here and are working really, really hard to show that they're still in it, and they can get their head back above water.
Chested down by
That's
Parks.
a great move.
The rangy attacker drives it in, headed out, but not all the way out. It's Frankie, unable to get it through.
Bunky
Azil lets fly. He gets a second chance. Out wide. Parks pulls it, gets around one man. Romeo Parks has it blocked. Johnson, who's been active, got in the way. We're down to the final minute here.
He's got to put it back in the mixer here to get a shot off. And
Riverhounds have everybody up except Kenny Forbes and Joe Greenspan.
They're playing the back end at the moment. And the Hounds have used their subs. They're trying to create one. Francois,
another corner.
Out for a corner. This is probably the last crack at it.
Definitely. And they're taking it quick. Oh no, they changed their mind. They're getting Parks back into the middle of the.
Yes, you don't want him taking this kick, I don't imagine. You want him in the scoring area. Noah Frankie, the trigger man. Can the Hounds get one?
Oh.
It bounces loose, and Arman on the spot. Did he get it out into touch? No, he did not. Apparently he did.
Yeah, I think Dykstra got a fist on that.
Forbes
Was
a
a
little
clear.
indecisive. He may have. It was tough to tell in that.
He's got to
pile-up.
get it into the box. I don't know why they're holding on to it out there. They got to get it in.
Dover gets around his man. Dabo, perhaps unaware of the urgency here. To imagine his teammates are yelling at him.
Yeah, really.
So this will be the final cross.
Another one. Here's
Greenspan!
Oh!
He missed it.
Oh, dear. He's way above everybody,
That's it.
too.
That's all.
A missed header from Greenspan, who shakes his head and walks forlornly toward the Hounds bench. That's it. As we said, through 90 minutes, the Hounds, for the 6th time this year, have a scoreless draw, 4th time at home. Well, they gave it all they had, but both keepers are going to come out of here with a clean sheet. Andrew Dykstra definitely earned his, and Mike Kirk in his pro debut, at least in league play, doesn't allow a single goal. But yeah, gentlemen, it's a letdown, especially considering that Charlotte was playing with 10 men for the final 30-odd minutes of this one.
No, for sure. I think this is one the Riverhounds are going to be very disappointed with. But from the Charlotte side, as I said at the end, they've been going through some struggles. They've had 10 days off to prepare. They still come down and lose a guy in the game. But the fact that they were able to hold it together and really battle as a group is something that Mike Jeffers can build on as they go forward for the final part of the season to try to get above the playoff line.
And we had some chances, so you can't forget that. You know, our top goal scorer had a couple of great opportunities, actually 3, I think it was, and it was a shame not to see one of those go in because he's been red hot lately. Sometimes you're hot and sometimes you're not, and it wasn't working for him tonight.
Yes,
wasn't getting the bounces or striking the ball the way you would want him to. But we had some chances, and we should have taken advantage of it, but we didn't.
No, you're right, Paul.
And the USL's finest defensive squad adds another notch to the belt. You just saw it there, the 15th clean sheet for Pittsburgh this season. So they got that going for them, which is nice tonight. But they only get the 1 point against Charlotte. We'll be back to wrap this one up. Highlights and stats. A lot of close calls. We'll go over all of them when we return here on ESPN+.
The Riverhounds Technical Training Academy is back this winter at the AHN Sports Complex at Cool Springs. The 15-session program runs from December to March and is loaded with skills development taught by professional players from around the world. Registration opens in August. Sessions begin December 1st. Find out more by emailing wintertraining@riverhounds.com or by calling 412-325-7238.
It's so unfair. You just feel stripped of being a woman, not being able to have a child. Or they had told me that I can't have kids naturally. It was just like waterworks.
Yeah, what's it like being pregnant?
But it's an amazing thing to know that I don't have all of the things to make a baby, but I still made this baby.
I mean, it really is a miracle. I mean,
seriously.
Call 412 Doctors for an appointment with a fertility expert at Allegheny Health Network.
Forbes has an open man. Jamaican to Jamaican. And there is it. Nico Brett, beautiful.
Catch the action at Highmark Stadium as the Riverhounds battle for a home playoff position. On September 7th, the Bethlehem Steel FC roll into town for a special Friday matchup. Gates open at 5:30 p.m., $1 beers until kickoff. Purchase your tickets at riverhounds.com or call 412-865-GOAL.
The team talk after the match. Bob Lilly raising some eyebrows maybe in that crowd. This has been a staple of his first season in charge of the Hounds, but there you see, he's got to be pleased with that. A 15th clean sheet. There was one glorious opportunity for Charlotte tonight, and that was about it, but the final score remains 0-0, and the Riverhounds just get the 1 point. I'm Matt Geica with Paul Child and Gene Klein. Let's look back at the full-time highlights tonight on ESPN+. This from the first half with the Hounds attacking to the goal to our right, pardon me. And Forbes and Zemansky and Francois, this was beautiful. But Dykstra.
Yeah, and what we saw a lot of the first half was Andrew Dykstra making some pretty big saves. from really the opening minute when he came up and stoned Nico Brett on a breakaway, and
I think
he was the difference. He was the difference
of the game.
Huh?
Yeah, here's his
player of the game.
Here's his foot getting on that one.
Foot save where Nico was again right there, and Ben Zavansky puts that over top. So Charlotte, to their credit, they stayed organized, they stayed tight, but when there was an opportunity, Dykstra was there.
It's the 7th time the Riverhounds have been shut out on the season. I think this might be the best performance. Joe Kosminski of Charleston a few weeks back also was quite good. Robbed Brett a couple of times. And
there's the second card, which ended up right here, a cleat that looks like the Ben Zavansky's hip. And
it wasn't a straight red, though. It was just a
second yellow that he got really on a careless yellow in the first half.
Yeah.
That was the moment that changed the game. But with 10 men, Calvert to Arman checking in for Jorge Herrera, who was injured. And boy, that was, the more I look at this one, the more I realize how good of a chance this was.
Arman just really turned Roberts and Joe Greenspan around, and that was the best chance.
Riverhounds buzzed and buzzed and buzzed again in the second half, but unable to break through. Shots 11-5, shots on target 3-1. Possession, I have to believe that's the most lopsided possession match of the season, and it felt like even more than that late with the Riverhounds with the man advantage. And just looking back quickly, perusing the numbers, the Hounds have not had a 70% possession night on the year, but they don't get that breakthrough goal. And there you see the red card for Charlotte that ended up making it a bunker it in type of an affair late in the second half for the Independents.
They parked the bus for sure in the second half, and
to be honest with you guys, I really feel that the 10-man really, that's when the Hounds kind of went down, because Charlotte just kind of gave up on going forward and just really packed it, and wanted to make sure they were not going to go out of here getting a goal scored against them. And I think the 10 men really affected the Hounds, because the pressure then is, got to go to goal.
The crispness of the passing and everything kind of slowed down a little bit, maybe got a little sloppy on some touches in tight spaces. As we said, they really just could not break it down, and looked, just didn't create a lot of great chances, and credit to Charlotte on that.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, on the bright side for the Riverhounds, and for Charlotte, in fact, they'll both have a chance to get back at it on Wednesday. It will be Charlotte against Louisville City, and right here we'll be back with you here on ESPN Plus. Wednesday night, Tampa Bay Rowdies pay their one and only visit to Pittsburgh on the season. Hope you'll join us. The Steel Army had fun, as they always do. Kids are running on the field for autographs, but just the 1 point. 1 point for the Hounds, 1 point for the Independents. We'll talk to you on Wednesday. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent of the United Soccer League.